our world. And thank you for making a difference in people's lives. That's why you're here. That's why you're put on earth. And, we all have a beginning date and an end date, and we got to get some stuff done in between. You're going to learn, earn, and return. And you've got to help those around you. Now, I want to take a few minutes and talk to you about a simple money management system that you can share with your children. We have all kinds of great systems that we use on the foundation, but I really want to spend a few minutes to show you this one. And I just want to go back a few steps. My dad is 4 days older than Warren Buffett. Now, my dad passed away a handful of years ago. My mother passed away recently as well. But my dad is 4 days older than Warren Buffett. And I had a mini Warren Buffett that taught me about money. Now, he didn't just teach me this stuff. We did it. We did things together. As a teenager, I had an investment account. I was buying stocks. I had small businesses. My dad was encouraging me to do it. He was doing it, and I was learning from his example. And as I look back at my dad and I connect the dots back, I look at the things that happened to my dad's dad and their grandparents who lost the family farm because they didn't have enough money to pay the taxes. And I can see the ripple effect of what happened to my grandfather and to my father and to us kids and now to you. The ripple effect of connecting the dots going backwards of something that happened generations ago that changed the trajectory of my life and your life. Because if my great-grandfather wouldn't have lost the family farm, it probably wouldn't have had the same impact on my grandfather, who wouldn't have had the same impact on my father, who wouldn't have the impact on me, who now doesn't have the impact on you. Our goal is to be able to teach our kids about money. Why? Because they have to manage it. They have to live in this world. To get around this world, you got to have money. Money is not good. Money's not bad. The more money you have, the more you are of what you are. If you're a jerk and you got a lot of money, you're a bigger jerk. If you're charitable, you got money, you can be more charitable. Money builds churches. Money builds education. Money builds health centers. Money for good. That's what we want it to be, is money for good. Now, I want to tell you a little story about when I was very, very young. We had this neighbor in our little neighborhood. She was the elementary school librarian. Her husband had passed away tragically at a very young age. She had very, very bad health, and she was the elementary school librarian in a little town with about 3,000 people. So there's about 60, 70 kids in my class that I grew up with. And she did something very interesting. She gave all of us kids in the neighborhood a $2 bill. Now, this was 50 years ago. And to my knowledge, she only gave it to 5 of us kids. That's, as I've talked to the neighbors years later, that's all I remember. Just a couple of kids around the corner, my brother and I. And she did something very interesting. She gave us 22 cents to be able to give away. Now, you say $2, that's not very much. Well, $2 50 years ago, that's about $20 today, maybe even more. And that was a lot of money back then for someone who wasn't making any money. And but she thought of others, and she planted the seed. She planted the money seed. Now, my dad had talked to me about money. We were doing stuff together, but somebody on the outside agreed with what my dad was saying. Oh, wow, this must be true. And the money was for us to think about our future. The money was to think about college, marriage, doing some Christian service for others. But it planted the seed. And the 22 cents, which was very interesting, really was like, really? Now, this is kind of interesting. And this is in, I have the envelope right here. And you can't see that very well, but there's an envelope right here. And what was interesting is that she gave us 11 cents to give away. And she later recognized that she made a mistake, and she brought over another 11 cents. So it was 22 cents, which is 10% of $2.22. So she even rounded up. She rounded up, which is amazing. This gal did not have the money. She was a wonderful woman. I'm one of 10 kids. I'm number 7. I kind of got lost in the shuffle just with all the family, with all the kids and stuff like that. And for some reason, she took a liking to me. And she was just the librarian. So I don't know why. I don't know why she did, but she gave me a little extra time, and that was kind of a booster for me. So that was something. She planted a money seed. Now, is the money she gave us that important? No. It's the thought, it's the mindset. It's not just the money, it's the mindset that she gave of us kids. And she agreed with what my dad said. She agreed with what my grandfather had said. So somebody outside the family, hey, we're in agreement. This is something that you should start doing. And so that was a seed that was planted by an outsider. That was money water, to plant, to put into your money tree. Ah, that's another person that agrees with us. Okay, well, that's great. Now, when I was young, I used to work with my dad. We were in the car business. My grandfather started it. My dad was 14 years of age when they started it, and my grandfather and his brother would go literally around the cities, the little cities where we lived, and they would go find old cars that people that had stopped running. Sometimes they were in a barn, sometimes they're out in the fields, and they would literally go buy these cars, tow them back to their garage. There was a garage and a service station, and they would fix up these cars and resell them. So a lot of this happened during in the 1940s. They started in the 30s, but 1940s when World War II was going on. There's really hard getting any kind of products and stuff like that. So they were very creative. They had a little gas station and a two car garage that they could bring these cars in. They'd fix them up and then they'd resell them. And that's how our family got in the car business. And my dad was a teenager. He was 14 years of age. So he grew up in that business. And it's a tough business. It's a hard business to be able to do. But, one of my first jobs was sweeping the floors at the car dealership and cleaning the bathrooms and filling up the Coke machine. That was the big thing, because, back you had all these drinks right there. You got a key, you'd open it up and you'd put all these drinks in here. And I remember one time as I was working, it was fashionable to, hey, I'm filling up the Coke machine. I'm going to take one. I'm going to get one. Hey, thanks. And my dad could see that I wasn't pushing the broom very fast because I was standing around drinking a Coke. And so he says, hey, son, when you work. So go punch out, stop your time clock, take a break, take a 15-minute break, have a Coke, have a drink, enjoy it. And then when you're ready to work, go back to work. And so he was a major impact on me. But the next job that I had that wasn't working with the family, I was a dishwasher. I literally worked at a truck stop. And again, I was a teenager. I used to ride my bike out to this truck stop that was at the south end of town. And I would wash dishes at this big old truck stop. And I remember when I got our first check, and I was only making like $1.25 an hour, not very much. And I worked a lot of hours, and I got a check for over $100. And I took that money to my back to my dad, and I says, what should we do with it? Well, we took a little money, we gave some of it away, we spent a little bit of money on it. And then I invested the money. And at the time, my dad was selling cars. Interest rates were very high, and a lot of people couldn't afford a car. And he did something very creative. He said, you know what, there's a problem. People want to be able to qualify. They need a car, but they don't have very good credit. And the bank isn't going to loan them any money. So how about if we loan it to them? And I learned a lot of things about that with my father about that. And when us kids made money, we would take that money and we would put it into a separate account. My dad would take that money and then he would buy cars with it. And then he would sell those cars to an individual, and those people would make us payments. They'd make payments. We call it owner financing. And they would pay the payments. My dad taught me a lot of great lessons about that. He said, son, if you sell them a good car and it runs, and it's a good car, dependable car, they're going to pay you. But if you sell them a junky car and it doesn't run, they're not going to pay you, and you don't deserve to be paid. Give them a good product. And if you do that, then they will pay you, and that makes it all work. Now, what was nice is that we were able to sell a car, a little bit of a profit in the car, and we made money in the finance. Well, that planted a seed. Financing. Oh, how do you do this financing? And through my real estate career, I've done all kinds of deals where we've done all kinds of owner financing on big real estate deals. It's massive. The things that I've learned that kind of tie back as a teenager back to my dad. And this is the card right here. Um, I'll have to put that up there for you sometime, but you can see 1974. 1974, I made my first $100 and we'd keep a card. And so I didn't really have a bank account. I would put the money in a separate account with my dad. So I was earning interest. I was learning how to be a businessman. I would fly uh, on an auction. My dad would take one of his kids with us and we would fly to Denver from Salt Lake City and go to a car auction. And my dad would buy used cars and have them shipped back to where we lived. And then they would turn around and sell them. So my dad was, there's no such thing as a self-made man, but but he was pretty determined to change his stars from what happened to him. And so he taught us about money and how to manage our money. And a lot of things I've learned that little seed that was planted, I've done, and we've done millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of sales by financing things for people that all go back to this one thing I learned as a teenager. So when you learn something, it's not for today. You're going to learn that thing and you might use it later on. 5 years, 10 years, you might learn that one little thing and it's just going to multiply in the future. So how do you manage your money? Well, my dad taught us about how to manage your money. You can see that we had a little card on there that we'd bring in, and he taught us the 5 steps. My mom and dad were very good about teaching us the 5 steps and doing it. My dad he did it. And I watched him. I didn't have to have a lecture. He was too busy doing it. And we did it with him. If I wanted to talk to my dad, I'd have to go out there and paint the fence with him or pull the weeds or go out in the garden or something like that. He was just busy. He was doing stuff. And if you wanted any time with dad, you needed to go do something with him. So that was pretty amazing. So we created a system. He created a system that we later took and simplified it. So one of the things I want to talk to you about today is a simple system to be able to teach your kids about money. Now, not just teaching them, but do it. Play the game of money. How do you do that? Every one of your kids are going to make, manage, and spend money their whole life. Now, I've got a Ferrari. I'm not going to teach my daughter how to drive the Ferrari. I'm going to teach her how to drive the van, starting. I'm going to teach her something easy to use. They can work their way up to the Ferrari. Well, that's the same thing you do with your kids. We've got to do that same thing. As a teenager, I was buying stocks with my dad. I was, I was in the game. I was learning, and it's not so much the money. It was the mindset. I started learning about things. I started learning about companies, and I got fascinated on how they do what they do. So that's what we want to be able to teach you. Now, when you go to the foundation, there's a couple of really great things that I want to be able to show you, specifically about teaching your kids about money and a system to be able to teach them. So on the foundation, we have all these wonderful downloads that you can use. And this is a little program we call the Money Made Easy system to be able to teach kids and teens and young adults about money. Now, there's 5 steps, and I'm going to show you how I do it. These are systems that I've created to be able to give away. And at an event we just had, I gave away hundreds of these because I'm a big believer in teaching this stuff. So there's 5 steps. Step number 1 is you've got to learn how to make more money. Look at that. And there is the little make more money tracker right here. And the way it works is like a thermometer. As you make money, your thermometer goes up. You start out with $1, and then as you make money, you just keep coloring it up and the thermometer goes up. There's the 3 or 4 different ways that you can make money. So step number 1 is to make money. Step number 2 is to sort it. Dump all your money out once a month, once every 2 weeks, whenever you want to do it. And you dump that money out. That's number 2. You got to separate it. Where do you separate it? Well, you have to give some of it away. There's charity right there. And here's the charities that you want to give to, and then it just keeps track of it month by month where you give the money. Again, keeping track of your money. It's a system. And if you can start doing that when you're a kid and you can track your money where it's going, then you can know where it's going instead of just wondering. That's step number 3. Number 4 is you've got to save and invest, mostly for your long-term investing. And you can see I put $1 million in there, but there's this little tracker right here that you can keep track of how much money you're putting away. And so that is the last one. And then the last one, step number 5, is to spend. So let's say that you take your money, we'll just use 100 for easiness. You take $100 that you made, you dump it all out, you sort it, you give some of it away, just say 10 let's do $10 into your charity. Let's take another 10 or 20 or whatever you can do into your automatic investing. And then what's left over? Okay, well, left over in this case happens to be $70. And so you can see there's a tracker right here that you start with. Well, I've got about $70 in here. And then as you spend the money, guess what? The tracker goes down. You just literally cross it off, the money that's going down. Now, the reason I show you this is because there's a system that you can go to the website and be able to use yourself. So Ethan is going to take us to the website. And there's some wonderful classes on this. So the first thing is I want to be able to do is I want you to go to courses and go to the, you have to log in first, Ethan, and then we're going to show them where these classes are. So there's the Money Made Easy system. The Money Made Easy system was designed to be able to teach children and parents, kids and parents, teens and parents, young adults and adults. So after you log in, you go to your courses, and then you'll see that one of the first ones is the Money Made Easy system. And this is a system that I created, and there's those different ones right there. Now, the first one is the Money Made Easy for Children. It's 8 minutes long, and I teach the whole 5-step system, and we use these little banks, these little trackers. You can put them in envelopes, you can put them into jars, anything just to be able to move your money around, because playing with money is fun. And it's 8 minutes long. It's with my twin granddaughters who are 4 years of age. It's 8 minutes long. I teach them the first little steps like that, and then they decide they don't want to stick around, so they leave. So I taught them how to make money, how to do to separate it, how to give some of it away, and they just leave. And then they come back. What'd they come back for? They came back for step number 5, which was to spend the rest. It's a fun little video. I got it done in one take. I'll probably never get another chance like that again, but that is a very fun, easy explanation of how to use the little system, because we literally move money. We count money out and we move it from one place to the other. Then, of course, we do the same thing with kids and teens and young adults and adults, but we just add more layers to it. So now when you go to the courses and you go to downloads, and we go to the download section, here are the different trackers you're going to use. So scroll down to the second one, you can see the Money Made Easy trackers. If you click on that and make it big, then you can download and print these yourself. And again, step number 1 is to make more money. Let's go down to the yellow one, make more money. And you can see that it has dollars on it. So as you're making money, you just basically have your thermometer go up. So if you made $25, you just color it all the way up to 25. Hey, I've got 25 bucks in there. You make another $25, you're up to 50. So that's how you keep track of it. And there's 4 or 5 different ways that your kids can make money. Step number 2 is to separate it. Number 3 is to give some of it away. So let's go to the charity one. And the charity one's very simple. It just, here's the charities that you want to give to and how much you do. So it's keeping track of it. Now, why is it important to keep track of stuff? Well, some of the richest people in the world learned about money at a very young age by understanding where the money went, where the nickels and dimes went. Because if you know where it's going, then you can do the things you need to do with it. That's step number 3. Number 4 is you got to do your investing. So let's go to the invest bank. There's the save and invest. And this is something that's kind of fun, is that we have your money and then your mentor's money. So every parent I've ever asked, if your child makes money, separates it, gives some away, and they start investing, will you match it? I've never had a parent say no. Every parent wants to help their kids. So they want you to do part of it. So on here, it says, this is your monthly that you're putting away. And there is a mathematical number that you need to put away to have $1 million when you get to be turned age 65. The good news is you'll have $1 million. The bad news is that won't be enough. But it's the habit, it's the mindset of what we're trying to do. So you put in the money that you're going to put away, and then your mentors will match it. My dad matched what we did. I did this with my kids. I remember a time that I did this with my daughter. She was working at a sandwich shop, and she had made some good money. And I says, do you want to put some of that money into investing? And she says, well, I'm not giving my money to you. I says, well, you're not giving it to me. It's just that if you invest it, Grandpa said he'd match it. And I'm going to match it. So for every dollar you put into your long-term investing, I'm going to match. And Grandpa said he'd match it. And she got all mad. And she got huffy and puffy and went upstairs. And I says, honey, you don't have to do this. If you want to put that money into your investment account, a chunk of that money, I'm going to match it and Grandpa's going to match it. Does it sound like a 401k, people? Retirement accounts? She got all mad. She went upstairs. A few minutes later, she came downstairs and says, Dad, I'll take the deal. And what it did is it started having her thinking about long-term investing. Okay, that's what you got to do. You got to get your money working for you. Then, of course, the last one is to spend. And the spend one is the red, and it's a thermometer. And let's say that you have $50 in there. You'll just go circle the 50. And then as you spend money, it just goes down, down, down until you're out of money. That's a fun little system that you can use to be able to do that. Also in there is some cash cards, flashcards. Let's go back to the downloads if you would, Ethan. And you can see as you scroll down, there are some cards here that we've created. There's your $1 million. The Money Made Easy Play Money. Click on that one if you would, please. So this one is a very fun one as well, because on one side there's a question and on the other side is the answer. And you can see we've left these with cut marks. And so you can just literally go in, print them, and then use your scissors to cut them and then tape them front to back and just match up the kid. It'll have the question on one side and the answer on the other side. So as we teach this fun things, you can play with these fun cards as well. So that's kind of the system that we use to be able to do that. That's how you teach your kids about money and have them do it. And money's a game. Go print the cards and use them, or go get some real cash. It's what we do because money's a game. Let's have fun with the game and win that way. So I'm going to finish this class right here, and we're going to come back and I'm going to teach you as an adult how to manage your money on one piece of paper. Using those same systems, the same 5 steps in the same systems. But as you get a little bit older, usually when people start getting to be 15, 16 years of age, 17, they start going away from cash to start using debit cards and things like that. There's nothing wrong with cash. I'd put cash in your pocket, because if you use cash versus a card, you'll spend about 15% less, because it's painful to pull money out of your pocket to buy stuff. It's easy to give somebody a card and bang, they just charge it. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye to you. We're going to come right back and we're going to do another section on the adults on how to manage your money on one piece of paper.